Hello, everyone. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching The Gilded Age, Season 1, Episode 3, Face the Music.
Ooh.
It feels early to be killing people.
I know. Yeah. And especially, by their own hands. So trigger warning for suicide.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
I saved this because I wanted to ask this while we were out there, but spoiler alert, I'm bad at money and stocks and understanding that stuff. I don't really understand what's happening with Mr. Russell and the bill and all of that. So I understand that there was an aspect of insider trading because he wants this law or this bill passed to build his station. Okay. And so I thought Mr. Morris was all in on Mr. Russell and was buying Russell's stock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so then the bill didn't pass. And
the bill did pass, but then they either unpassed it or they decided they just still were not going to allow the news station.
Okay. So then Russell started to buy up his own stocks. Mm-hmm. You can't do that now, right? That's illegal?
You can't do any of this now.
Okay.
It's all illegal now. If this had come to light now, well, let's be honest, all of these men would be free and it would be fine. But they should be prosecuted for insider trading, which is a federal crime.
Yeah.
That's why Martha Stewart went to prison.
Right.
Yeah.
But so why is Morris and all the other aldermen, why are they up Schitt's Creek? I don't understand.
So basically, okay, I'm okay. I might watch two white girls who never play the stocks teach you how to play the stocks.
Listen, I learned in 10th grade. This is not for me. I am right-brained only.
Yeah.
And because in my LSN class, which I don't know if you guys know this, but so it's our government class. So it stands for local, state, and national government.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mine was called civics.
Oh, that's a better name. But so there was an extra credit project where you could play the stock market, and our teacher, Mr. Butler, who was a creep, he if you did well, he would pay you out so you could get $20 or something. And so I was like, sure, I'll give it a try. No, I did horribly. It was pew.
Okay, so from what I can understand from the dialogue that's happening in this show, do not come to me for stock tips, is basically, so they all bought the stock.
Okay.
After they passed the bill, because the stock went, they bought it first.
Okay.
Because they knew the stock was going to go through the roof. And then they were trying to all sell. But then Mr. Russell started buying up everything, and he can only do that for so long. And when the train station doesn't get built and he runs out of money to keep buying up the stock, it's going to plummet. And anybody who still has their shares has no money.
Okay.
Mr. Russell put every dime they have into these stocks.
Okay.
And so when the stock plummets, he'll have nothing.
Right. So, okay. So are you talking about Russell or Morris?
Morris.
Sorry. Okay.
Sorry. Shit. It's a real Javert and Domenico situation. Okay. So Mr. Russell is buying up all of his own stock.
Okay.
When Mr. Russell runs out of money to keep doing that, which is what Bertha was like, whatever, we'll make the money again.
Okay.
So when he runs out of money to keep doing that, the stock will plummet. He will lose all of his, or the majority of his money, but Morris will lose everything.
Okay, so is Morris just being yellow bellied then? Where he's just it's not going to work, I'm going to lose everything. I can't play the long game?
Yes, that is the tragic irony of this episode, is that he killed himself while at the same time George was across the street with Bertha being like, nope, we're good. We're going to build the station. Everything's going to be fine.
So clearly the thing that kept Mr. Morris and Mrs. Morris together is their short-sightedness.
Yeah.
Both of them made real serious decisions way too early.
Well, okay, here is the other thing, though, is that George did, sort of egg him on. He wasn't you should kill yourself, but he was he basically was, because Morris went on his knees.
Yeah, and he was really, I'm sorry.
It was so sad.
What? A soft man.
Because even all the rest of the men were like, get up.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Mr. Fane, he was standing, and he was like, come on, man.
Like, dude,
come
please.
on.
So basically, when they were all in that meeting together, he was like, I'm not without pity. Like, I'm not without mercy. And I'm not saying that because half of the reason he's doing this is because their wives were mean to Bertha.
Well, yeah. And he says as much. So it's like, your wife slighted my wife.
I mean, it's amazing. You can only dream of a man like that. And so he basically was like, but, I know that I'm punishing you for some crimes that aren't yours. And so, whatever. But I do think that you all need to face the music, which is the title of the episode. And I think that Morris didn't realize the jig was up, that it was over. I think he thought he was going to take him all the way down. And I was like, bitch, you are on your knees in his office in front of every man you know. I think you're down enough. George thinks you're down enough. And I think he just didn't realize that there was an end in sight. It also was just if you were trying to show an alien what it would look like to have somebody telegraph completely that they're going to go upstairs and blow their brains out, this is the scene that you would show them. There was no nuance. And Mrs. Morris was just like, you doing okay? Okay, bye.
Well, she was like, just come sit with me. Just come on. And then he's like, nope, I have something to take care of first. And me and Kristen were like, He
also, just every minute of it from when he entered the house was like, are any of the kids coming over? That's good. They're good kids. I'm so proud of you and them. It's so fulfilling having known that I was the patriarch of this family. Look, it's very sad.
It's very sad. Yeah,
I feel bad about it, but
no, in no way are we making light of someone taking their life at all.
But in the context of this narrative, I can't stop laughing at it. Because
he really went 0 to 100.
He really did.
So quickly.
Yeah, he really did. As opposed to, and he did try to get Mrs. Morris to go and apologize. And she went. Then Bertha was like, you don't have anything I want. This family. I'm obsessed with the Russells. They're my favorite.
No holds bar.
Yeah,
because I don't know. If I were Mr. Russell seeing Mr. Morris on his knees, I would have been like, get up, man.
Dude,
you're debasing yourself. Stop.
Also, dude, I'm done ruining you.
Yeah.
Get the memo. Come on.
I'm surprised that he didn't end the episode with like, I'll send him a note tomorrow. Invite him to tea. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it feels early to start killing main characters because he's been in all of the episodes. So
yeah.
And I feel bad for Mrs. Russell. What is her name? Does she have a first name? Or Mrs. Morris? Sorry, Anne.
I don't. And I was trying to look up the name of the actor.
It's Michael Gill.
I just would like him to stop dying because I really liked him on Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
And I liked him in this.
Spoiler alert for Mr. Robot.
Yeah. I don't remember when, but it happened.
Been scolded before.
Yeah. But that show's done now. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, his voice is just very pleasing to my ears. So I'm sad.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing. I apologize again for laughing. It just was so it's not a failing of the acting or the show, but it was the writing was so telegraphed that it would from the minute that he's on his knees, I was like, he's gonna go home and he's gonna shoot himself in the head for sure.
It was just very reminiscent of the stock market crash in 29 or whatever it was. And things were not that dire, I feel like.
Well, especially because I don't believe they are that dire because George was George would not be this okay if all of his money was going away too.
Right. And everyone keeps saying how this man has more money than God. And that is a direct quote.
Yeah.
So he could keep up the charade for a minute and I think they'd be fine.
They kept saying a couple of days. I think, but still, regardless.
This man spent, what did you say was $70,000 in today's money?
The equivalent of $70,000.
Just because he wanted to prove a point, I think he's fine. Also, it does this all the time. That's why I don't play it, because I like stability. I like things to be very even keel. I have anxiety enough. I don't need anxiety with my money too.
Yeah, don't check your 401ks right now.
Yeah, well,
it's bad news.
I love being an adult.
It's so much fun. All right. What else do we got? Do we want to go to Peggy?
Let's go to Peggy.
Okay. Peggy is having a good time mostly. She got a letter back from a publishing house that said they were going to publish her story. She's very
Christian
excited.
Advocate.
Yeah. It's,
it was
the writing's on the wall.
Yep.
So she's very excited about that. We meet her dad finally, which was fun. I liked that. They had a nice little back and forth. I still am not sure what exactly he is meant to have done.
Yeah, because that interaction, because we predicted or we thought that there might have been like some physical violence that happened or anything
or
like
worse.
something or worse. Yeah. But while their interaction was stilted, it was not.
I think he's just a dick about her writing.
Maybe.
Which does not feel like enough for this level of.
No.
So I don't know.
I don't know either.
And he also is like, I feel like that's the thing too, is like, I don't think she came from a poorly off family. I think she came from a well-off Black family. He's dressed like a gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
And her mom was dressed like a lady. And so I just am sort of like, this isn't even like she's trying to rise above her station. Her parents are trying to keep her like where she's like meant to be or whatever. They seem like ladies and gentlemen. And so I don't know why.
And not only that, but they educated their daughter.
And they educated her,
daughter.
So I don't know why. It's very like what we were talking about I don't remember what it was on. Well, it was about Outlander with Frank. And it was like, he likes her because she's a Spitfire. And then the minute she's a Spitfire, he's like, oh, well, not like that. And so it's like, they educated their daughter, which is like, because even the white maid doesn't know how to read. She was like, I get by, but it's like, she can't read them right, like Peggy can. And so it's very like, well, we're going to educate you, but don't go using your brain or having ideas. And I just don't condone.
Which, I mean, that was kind of a theme for women up until the 60s, where you got sent to the best colleges and then you majored in Russian literature to bring it to Mrs. Maisel, but you go to college to find a husband and then you don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
But I still...
Look, that's still happening today. I have a degree in sociology. What am I doing with that? Nothing.
I tried to go to art school and didn't. And now I have a degree in public relations because I was told to get a real degree. So I got the business equivalent of performing arts.
Yeah.
So hire me to do a tap dance for other people to hire you. Jazz hands in the workplace. I do makeup for a living. Doing great.
It goes.
It does.
All right. So Peggy goes to the Christian Advocate and she is made to wait until they're closed because they didn't know she was Black. Ridiculous. She also has not heard from any of the Black publications. So you can only imagine that they're not writing her back because she's a woman.
Yep.
So she finally goes in to see the editor. I actually really, really liked this scene. I thought it was really good because, in my opinion, you should feel some sympathy for the editor too.
I agree.
Because he doesn't want to be asking her to do this. He's basically like, you have to make the little girl in your story not Black, and you need to sign something that says you'll never admit that you wrote these stories.
And at least he had the good sense to curve into himself and look guilty when saying it, compared to Little Women.
Sure.
When the editor talking to Joe is like, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. Mm-hmm. And I'm buying it and I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, but it's Tracy Letts.
But
Okay. Regardless, I think he felt sincerely bad about it because he was like, I think your stories are great, but we can't publish them as you because of our readers from the South. Mm-hmm. It's horrible. It's truly horrible. And she turns him down quite rightly, which I also appreciated. But I just thought a really fascinating tete-a-tete.
Well, and especially because he said that her stories got the largest response to be published.
And her clap back.
Yeah. And he was like, and she goes, so, but it had it originally with a little Black girl. Mm-hmm. So obviously it resonated with your readers or your enough
white readers.
Yeah, that you want to publish it. So I don't understand. And then that's when he explained about the South part.
Yeah.
I'm gonna that's myself.
Have some issues. Several issues. But like I said, she did turn...
You can read it.
Yeah. She did turn them down, which was correct. I mean, at some point, look, fucking what's her name? Marion cannot stop running off of the mouth.
No, she can't.
At some point, she is going to absolutely stumble her way into a fortune of money, and she is going to publish Peggy's stories. I feel it in my bones.
I'm here for it.
No, I'm super here for it.
Because at least if that's the case, she's putting her money where her mouth is.
100%. Because she is still, and I am so on Marion's team, because not only are we dealing with a new money, old money, but we're like an old generation, new generation thing. Because while Bertha is roughly the same age as the rest of them, she reads a lot younger than Kelly O'Hara and Mrs. Morris. So that is what is interesting to me. And so having Marion and Bertha be kind of on the same side of this really locks them into like the new age of society too.
I feel like Bertha and Marion are like the millennials. So Bertha is like
an elder millennial.
Yes, like us. And then Marion is towards the farther end of the like millennial.
27.
Yeah. Because they both have very new age, new ideals of what New York should be and how things should progress going forward. And they're dealing with a bunch of fucking boomers.
Because Marion keeps on multiple times, even in this episode, and she gets so frustrated, she just like walks out on Agnes. And because multiple times she's like, well, I really just think we should take Bertha Russell's money. And they all are like, don't speak her name.
And I love that she's like, but why? But why though? Why? Because the answers that they're giving her, and yes, we know about what it was in like the 1880s and all of that.
But the answer, you're right, the answers they're giving her are nonsense. They're like, she's not our people. And I'm like, you could spit on her house from your house. She lives in your neighborhood. She's here. She's clearly not going anywhere. She's shamed you all enough, and her husband has her back enough that your husbands are all up a fucking creek about this. And it's just, I just like, how long, I want to know how long it's going to take for them to realize that the Russells have them in a vice grip over they're like, we are going to be in your society, whether you like it or not.
Right. And these ladies are doing all of this stuff on the bedrock of charity and whatever. But it's like, but you're being precious about where the money's coming from for your charity. This is not coming to you. So you don't have to feel any type of way about the money that's coming into your pocket. Yeah. This is going to help somebody else. Why are you being precious about it?
So that's the other thing too, where it's sort of like a world's oldest profession type of thing, where it's like, how for as long as society has existed, people have been paying their way into the upper echelons of society. And so that's the point where it gets me, where I'm like, first of all, everything about her is better than the rest of these women. Her clothes, her hair, her jewelry, her house, everything's better. And so I'm just sort of like, they've got all this money. We could have avoided this whole thing with the men if only these women had accepted Bertha. And I mean, they obviously couldn't have known this specifically, money-wise could have happened. They couldn't have known that. But they had to have known something.
I mean, the fact that, Mr. Morris screaming at his wife to make it right with Mrs. Russell.
Yeah.
You don't think that there was a conversation that happened off screen, or Mrs. Morris would have figured out enough that something's not right if he's shrieking at me.
Yeah.
Because I don't
know. That's feel like kind of a little pansy.
But
it might have happened before.
But, well, she
runs the house.
Hondo P. But there was a level of desperation about it that I'm sure she did not get very often. So she probably knew something was amiss.
Sure.
Which, and we know, like...
And she did go and she tried to eat crow, but Bertha was like, I don't owe you any favors.
Well, it's like she did a horrible job at eating crow.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, take a note out of your husband's playbook and just fall on your knees and be like, my bad. I'm so sorry.
She was just sort of like, ask him to have mercy. And Bertha was like, why should I? And she had no good reason. And it's just sort of like, you didn't come up with anything more than that. I don't think Anne Morris realized how bad the situation.
How bad she fucked up.
That I think she realized. I don't think she realized how bad the money situation was.
Well, and most of the wives never do. Yeah. So,
don't you like having your own bank account at least?
Yeah. And that's why I kept it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it begs to be said again, like, we understand that we are looking at this entire show through our 2022 lens,
through a modern lens.
We want to remark upon the fact that it was so frustrating and it was unfair then and it would be unfair now.
Yeah.
And it just, I think everyone is just being so silly. And it just makes me want to tear my hair out.
Yeah.
Because it's like at this point, we've lost a life when we really could have avoided all of it just because of propriety. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which I'm rambling at this point because my brain is just.
Although that does lead us to, we finally found out about Mrs. Chamberlain and her secret.
That was the most anticlimactic.
So bored. She and her husband had sex before they were married, so their baby is too old.
Literally, that's what everyone did. Oh my God.
Every single marriage in my family, they were pregnant before they got married.
There was a law that was enacted. I don't remember what year, but if you gave up your maidenhead to your fiance.
I hate that word.
Because he finally talked you into it and was like, I'm going to marry you. And then you gave it up and then he left you. You were able to take him to court to get money for it or to be compensated for it. Because it's like, I gave the promise. I believed what he said and he ruined me.
Yeah.
So at least we kind of had that. But like, everyone did it. Everyone still does it.
It's also shit. So Jean Triplehorn is in her 50s in real life. Mm-hmm. I feel like she's got to be at least in her 40s in the show, supposed to be. So this happened 30 years ago. And
so then they probably had sex before he went off to fight in the Civil War. Am I bad at math?
That's a little too early for the Civil War. 30 years from the 80s is the 50s. The Civil War was in the 1860s. Or it ended in the 1860s. Maybe.
But if he was a gentleman, he would have been an officer, so he would have been in it a little bit more. I don't know. He could probably convince her because of the war of it all. I don't know. I feel like that's very plausible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing. I'll let it happen. I don't know. I was hoping for something a little more delicious than they had sex before their wedding and their baby is too old.
And then Aydah said that the son was adopted?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really get. So if he was adopted, then that makes even less sense.
But that's how they probably tried to cover it up. She probably went away and then
to adopt their.
Yeah, she probably went away and then gave birth, came back, probably left the baby with a distant relative, and then got a letter that somebody died and they left this kid.
I suspect we will find out more information because it looks like Marion is going to go visit Mrs. Chamberlain.
As she should.
I fucking love it.
What a bullshit reason to have such a black stain on you socially.
Even still, a divorce is still a bullshit reason. But like, I get that in the 1880s, divorce was basically unheard of. So I would understand if she was shunned for a divorce.
Sure.
Or like I keep saying, getting caught out in an affair. But just you had sex before you got married? I can't. All the men do it. Fucking Oscar is balls deep in Mr. Adams every single night.
No, Mr. Adams is balls deep in Mr. Van Ryn.
Of course, sure.
Mr. Van Ryn is a bottom for sure.
Apologies. You know what I mean.
I don't know, maybe they flip-flop. Who knows?
I don't know. I feel like in the 1880s, you might flip-flop. You just kind of get it in.
Yeah, because they don't know. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
Okay, because they are basically Oscar is trying to marry Gladys.
Yes.
For the money. And so...
And she's nice.
She is nice. Well, she's too innocent, so she'll never know anything's amiss. Mm-hmm. And it's just... But then he makes a joke. It was my favorite thing where he was like, I don't know, maybe I'll just like it and fall into it.
Yeah, take to it like a duck to water.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I loved that.
And Mr. Adams looks so butthurt over that.
He is really taking it hard. I feel like this is a conversation they feel like they've had many times, and all of a sudden that it's like becoming more of a reality. Bertha is not going to let Gladys marry Mr. Van Ryn.
Absolutely not.
Not even remotely.
Absolutely not.
Because also he keeps on saying, I need the money. I have to have the money, which makes me think he has spent the Van Ryn money.
Oh, probably. And I don't think there was a ton to begin with.
I don't feel good about that. So I guess that, like, Marion, like, really has to make a good marriage.
Just marry Mr. Rakes.
Okay, we got a couple of comments. I kind of like him because he seems sweet. He's got like a handsome face. We got a couple of comments that were like, I am not on the Mr. Rakes train. And I don't know. He was feeling shifty to me in this episode.
Really?
A little. Maybe, again, it's just the lens of 2022, but I'm just sort of like, you have met her 3 times.
But that's the thing that happens in the 1880s. Like you said, I've known 5 women in my life. One's my mom, one's my sister, one's my aunt, and 2 of them have made a joke. Like, it's just a thing that happens.
I don't know. He was coming off a little shifty to me in this episode in a way that I didn't love. So I'm not 100% on the Mr. Rakes train anymore. I kind of want someone else to just like sweep in. Or Larry Russell.
So, well, I kind of want Larry Russell, but I also like, I don't know. Oh God. Now I'm gonna have a complex. But why do you feel like he was so shifty? It's because he was so persistent?
Yeah, and it just was like they kind of like got away from Peggy in the park for like, first of all, he like dragged her in his office alone. They didn't have a chaperone.
But they asked Peggy and Peggy said no.
Yeah. So they didn't have a chaperone in the office. He closed the door. He made her come in the office. He closed the door. They were alone together in the office for like 5 minutes. Then he insisted she meet him at a second location. Later, like at the park with the Liberty hand. I don't know. I don't. And then immediately he just was like, I'd like to speak to your aunt because I know I have no prospects and this and that and the other. I don't know. I don't like it.
But he knows that she doesn't have any money.
That's not the point. I mean, I'm sure that Agnes will settle a small dowry on her anyway.
Listen, I know I'm going to end up with egg on my face about Mr. Rakes. I am prepared. I'm not
suggesting he's a full scoundrel yet. I just felt a little iffy about him this week.
Okay.
Also, I like Larry.
I like Larry too, but I don't know. Oh God.
Oh, Aydah's boyfriend.
That hurt my feelings.
It hurt my feelings too. I like Aydah so much. I like how she sort of slips in and out of the like Wise versus Daffy personality that she has, because
I wonder if she had a break, like a psychotic break.
I don't know. Maybe, but why? What would have caused it?
If she was engaged to someone and then he like...
Well, she wasn't engaged to this guy.
Well, I know that, but like if there was a man at some point in her past and it didn't fall, like it fell through or whatever,
Maybe.
And it was like particularly damaging.
Maybe.
She seems like the type that would
be jilted. Yeah. So anyway, this man comes, they are old friends, and it seems like he really likes Aydah, and then Agnes sits him down and is like, look, I know what you're about. Aydah has no money.
And you're not going to live in here because I'm too old to live with a man.
And you're not going to live in this house. So, you know, and I guess they did court when Aydah was young. And the reason that their father said no is because he was heard boasting that he was about to get a meal ticket.
That's so awful.
Super awful. So, I mean, Aydah dodged a bullet, but then he just like left. He was just like, bye.
I'm late for an appointment.
Yeah.
Well, but then at least Agnes was like, pick out
what we're having for dinner tomorrow.
Yeah, and she goes, I want to spoil you. And she was like, I can't imagine why. And she was like, I do. And it was just very sweet.
Very, very sweet. I liked that quite a lot. Turner is still trying to bang it out with Mr. Russell.
God, I don't want it. I really don't want it at all.
And the other one, Mrs. Bruce, I like her a lot. She was sort of talking to the one guy, but she was like, where do you go when you just leave? And I'm curious about that too, Watson.
Yeah. Because he was making eyes at Turner. And so is he like trying to get Turner to go on a walk with him?
I don't think so. I think he's suspicious of Turner. Out? No, because he was like spying on Turner, who was trying to like get with Mr. Russell.
Was that him or
I thought it was him.
No, I thought it was the guy with the gray hair.
Was it?
Church.
Maybe. Regardless. People are noticing that she is
She's
acting
being
a fool.
too fucking obvious. Oh my God.
And then Bridgette
and Jack.
Is it Jack?
Mhm.
He is so cute.
He is. His accent is kind of throwing me though.
It's a lot.
Because I feel like it's
like
too
Brooklyn.
early. I feel like it's too early. It's more like Long Island.
Long Island?
Yeah, his coffee.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Long Island.
Sure. So anyway, he asks her to go see like a picture show, which is so cute. And they go, and he tries to put his arm around her, and she's very standoffish. We have no explanation why.
She physically went,
Like,
not that. No.
It's like the little droid from the most recent Star Wars, where he's just like,
no, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and she just was very like, she doesn't want to get ice cream or coffee after the
Doesn't want to hold hands.
Yeah,
she doesn't like it.
And she just is like, it's curfew. Let's go home. I'm very curious what else we're going to get from that. So
Me too.
We'll see. Because I thought it was very sweet that he wanted to take her to
Mm-hmm.
the show. It was very cute. And I think that is pretty much it. We got Donna Murphy again. She didn't really do much in this episode, but she was there. I am ready. Like, Carrie Astor is credited in every single episode, and I have not seen her again since the first one. I guess she was at the end of the second one, but let's more Carrie Astor. I like Amy Forsyth. So.
Yeah, and we did notice that in this episode there was a lot of repeating outfits, which
Love
we
it.
kind of like
Yeah.
because that's more period accurate. Because you really only had like 5 things if you were wealthy.
There's something else similar to this, and I don't remember what, but it's something in the same vein where they re-wear outfits a lot. And I always really appreciate that because it's like, yeah, you have new dresses made for special occasions, but then you like re-wear your day dresses.
The Outlander?
No, it's not quite as fancy as Outlander's not quite as fancy as stuff like this. It's like she's wearing wool a lot of the time, and this is different. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I thought it was a pretty good episode. Boy, I am excited for the fallout from Mr. Morris's death.
I'm really curious if people are going to accuse the Russells of being heartless, and that's really going to slow things down.
Well, I mean, in the preview for next week, George is like, they'll blame me for this. And it's like, I mean, if he had waited one more day, it might have been fine. I just... Oh, boy.
Please, everyone, if you're feeling alone or upset, call somebody.
Yeah, not us. No,
Yeah,
we're not the right one.
No. Please, no. No. This is bad.
I find humor only in this narrative.
Yes, this particular instance for sure. Just because it was so quick. So
telegraphed.
Quick.
It's the telegraphed nature of it, where I just was at no point did I think Mr. Morris was making it out of this episode alive. So I just like, it was so telegraphed that I couldn't take it as seriously as I should have.
It could not have been more telegraphed if he had a shirt on that says, I won't make it through this episode.
Or if you were wearing a red
shirt. Yes, literally. Oh, boy.
Oh, brother. Okay, this one was also directed again by Sally Richardson Whitfield. I just feel the need to comment on that because she is an EP on this as well. I think she's great. Let's hear it for ladies.
Yay.
So, all right, we will be back next week with episode 4. Bye.
Bye.